Welcome friends to another Dune video. We are told that the Bene Gesserit have total control of their bodies, and there are many examples of this across the lore. So what are those abilities, and what changes do they need to will in their bodies to perform them? I have done a little research on biology to answer that second part, but I'm happy to be corrected on frankly everything I will get wrong. First we will look at one of the few males trained by the Bene Gesserit, Paul Atreides. Later, of course, Paul Muad'Dib. So, whilst he is Emperor during Paul of Dune, we see several Hunter-Seekers are released in an assassination attempt against him. Several are able to poison him when he goes to grab them, as he had grabbed the one in the past in the first Dune novel and smashed it. And so, he has to fight each of the poisons released into him. Now keep in mind that Paul at this point is fully in command of his abilities as the Kwisatz Haderach, and he survived this attempt, so perhaps controlling and targeting these poisons with his body's immune system were a way to combat it, and his kidneys, which removes waste products from the blood. So depending on the purpose of the poison, that might have been used as well. Another well-known ability is the Weirding Way, an ability to have precise control of your movements, such as a perfectly placed kick, with exactly the right amount of power behind it to achieve what's wanted, showing their muscle and nerve control and the perfect command of the brain to apply just the right amount of pressure. I assume as well, obviously in that, there'll be training applied as well, just as there will be in real life. Let's say you're a boxer. The speed and accuracy, that'll be something you're trained in as well. Anyway, the Bene Gesserit can control the speed at which they age. Though this is limited by appearance, they must need, as the sisterhood hides so much from the eyes of those in power, they don't want to give away their arts when possible, by all the Bene Gesserit looking forever young no matter their age. The skin wrinkles because of exposure to the loss of collagen, that's what causes the wrinkles in your skin and makes you look older, amongst some other things, which gives your skin elasticity. And perhaps the Bene Gesserit can maintain their looks as they control their bodies to generate enough collagen of this to maintain a look they're happy with. They can convert poison as well, making it inert. We see this when Jessica takes the water of life to awaken her memory, and Paul does the same to awaken his abilities. They both convert this poison into something inert. In the case of Jessica, this, once converted, would be given to the friends as a narcotic. When taken, that allows them to join their spirits and bonds between them, called the Tau. We only see this happen here, and one example that I will give to you later in terms of the Bene Gesserit changing stuff in their bodies. But it begs the question, what would be the limits of this and the cauldron of their bodies, generating and changing specific things they had taken? Maybe they can't get drunk, as they can convert it into something inert, for example. So don't waste that whiskey on a Bene Gesserit companion. We also know they can control their bodies in another specific way, to choose the sex of their child, or perhaps not to have the child at all. We see this in Dune, where Jessica decides to have a son and not a daughter, as the Bene Gesserit had told her to, breaking their breeding program and its long work. So they might with their bodies choose a certain type of chromosome to achieve the child they want. Maybe it's just willing what they want and the body does it, or perhaps this goes deeper and they need to know things to make certain changes to themselves in terms of knowledge to make sure their body can do a specific thing that's commanded. Another ability is the Prana Bindu training. Here the word prana means nerve and Bindu muscle with this. So for example, when they are in places like the desert of Arrakis or the planet Seleucus Secundus, they can control their blood flow, body temperature, heart rate and level of consciousness, perhaps appearing dead or deeply incapacitated when they need to. This also might extend to their need for food and water, which they can live on very little to nothing to extend their survival. I've also looked at this. I think the Prana Bindu always strikes me as a suite of abilities along with the Weirding Way. So for the voice, they must be able to control their vocal cords in a specific way in terms of pitch and to control the distance of its effectiveness when they are trying to command others, once they have been able to read enough from them to register them and what will bind them to their will. Also think of the control they must have over their brain to control the awakened other memory in them, when to draw on it, when to ignore it, and the mental processing when using truth sense and petit perception, both related in my opinion. This lets them decide when someone is telling the truth. For example, how Jessica senses through for Howard is not saying something to her, he's holding something back. And the ability to read the room in the dinner scene from the first Dune novel, which was tragically cut from Denis Villeneuve's movie, but I digress. In it, Jessica weeds out people that are planted there by the Harkonnens. One has a certain way he says things, and she realises this is from the way people say things on Giedi Prime, and she picks out someone that has been sent there to seduce Paul just from observing their voices and bodies. And lastly, the Reverend Mother Gaishalam Hayam is able to poison the body of the Baron with her sweat, if memory serves, in one of the times they meet for collection of his DNA, so that he becomes the fat Baron we see in the first Dune novel, because she's given him that. So those are the main abilities of the Bene Gesserit, and the alterations they might command in their own bodies to tap into those abilities as I see it. What do you think? Comment down below. Whilst I'm here, I'll just say that I'm currently making 2 Dune videos that are going to be released on the channel week after week. And just to address them not being many, I think, since Dune Part 2 came out, I feel like I've covered most of the stuff I want to cover on Dune. There's other stuff in the books, but it's got to be stuff that draws me in and that interests me. Now that said, I don't plan to stop making Dune videos. They'll just be infrequent. That great streak where I think I did like 2 years worth of videos every Friday or better, that kind of hits me now because I've covered so many of the subjects I wanted to cover, but what are you going to do? Anyway, what I'm trying to say in my long and rambly way is this. I'm going to continue to do Dune novels on the channel when I have an idea that excites me. And this and the other video I'm making, whether it's released after or before this, I'm not sure at this stage, but they are examples of me just returning to a subject and trying to put a slightly different spin on it, which is how I'm looking at returning to subjects I've done on the channel before for Dune, but not repeating everything, going at it from a different and hopefully interesting angle. Anyway, I'll end my ramble outro there. Thank you for listening.